MTN SME Hub. Link to growth. Link to success. Link to the ultimate resource for business advice and insights.
Welcome back to the Big Small Business Show. In studio with us today, we've got Mahlatsi Manyama. He's the founder and director of Premier Health Management Group. And we're talking about performance management, and we're talking about maximizing the performance of your team. And they both, I suppose, are related. So I think the first place, you spoke about employment contract. Well done, you've got that in place. You don't have the full KPIs in there. We're going to have to get that in. But and I think many of the questions that I ask you, I think you understand the gap is where you have to close if the answer was no. But the first place I would start is to map out the process, is to actually do a time management process. So if I get involved in any business where there's process, where it's a manufacturing process or even a administrative process, you literally go there with a stopwatch and you do a time analysis of, it takes 5 minutes to do this, 4 minutes, 30 seconds to do that. What is the average time? And you try and get the average time. Then you look for the anomalies, like you spoke about in emergency. If there's an emergency assessment required, that might, you charge more for it, but you get it down to 2 minutes instead of 4 minutes or whatever the case may be. So that whole process flow, that documented process flow with time associated with each process is very, very important, because you have to know how many steps there are. And they're going to be, I'm sure, like in most businesses, multiple ways. So in some instances, it's 8 steps, and in some instances, it's 9 steps. And if this, it's 12 steps. So you're going to have to identify all those different steps that need to be taken in those different conditions that take place. And then you understand that. Then you're going to assume that your team are not working at 8 hours a day, even though you're paying them for 8 hours a day, that they're probably working only for 6 hours a day. They're going to the toilet, they were on their phone, they are speaking to their girlfriend, there's a whole bunch of other things that
which is possible.
Which is not possible, it's probable. So you're going to assume that and take that into consideration as that they're not at 100% capacity, whether you believe they should be at 85% capacity or 80% or 90%, you work that out what that is. Different companies have different views. So now you take into consideration all that wasted time. And then you say, in a practical way, this is how many units of output, and that's how you think about units of output. A unit of output might be the report, the final report. How many units of output you can get out with a team of one person, just one person in a month. Then with 2 people should be double that. With 3 people, it should be 3 times that, etc. But what you might find is that as you're getting more and more people, that there's certain people that are better at certain parts of that process. So for example, some people might have a better relationship with the person who's taking the x-rays, or like some people might be faster at doing that, understand that. And then you start to move to specialization, which gives you more efficiency later. But before that, even we get to specialization of role, you need to know what you're expecting, right? So now you know what you're expecting. So when somebody comes in, coming back to the employment contract, to say, the expectation is, provided that we have got a full, that we're busy, our expectation is that the average thing takes, on average, 5 days to get through, and that you can get in every 5 days, you can get 8 reports out every 5 days. So I'm making these numbers up. So every month it's 40. If it's 8 reports a week, then it's 40 reports a month that we need as output. So that's your benchmark. That goes into your KPI requirement, because you have to set, when I ask you what you're measuring, you measured a whole bunch of other stuff. You didn't measure output. You didn't measure input or output, and you didn't measure speed, right? Then I would then introduce a performance management process every quarter, where you're measuring that every quarter, and you're saying, well, in a quarter, you're supposed to get 40 out a month. I need 120 a quarter. You're at 110, so you're below performance. So you would affect your performance management at whatever percentage that is below what is required. If it's below a certain threshold, then it's a performance issue and needs to go into a performance management process. So then you go into a different process, because now you know how long it takes. You've done the investigation. The person's on the phone to their girlfriend the whole day and not there. Related to that, I feel very, very old-fashioned when I say this, but I've seen this with all the businesses that I'm invested in. If I had it my way, all the business I'm invested in would bring everyone back to the office. The businesses that I'm invested in that have people all at the office perform way better than the people with home-based environment, way better, for all the reasons you say. Related to that is that the people where the CEO, the founder, the MD, the director, whatever you want to call yourself, are present at the office most of the time are the ones that perform better. So if there's a lack of leadership, well, the cat's away. If that is not just that, because it's not just because you've got your performance, you know you have to get your 40 reports out in a month or the 8 in a week. You know that. You've set that up. But there's going to be issues that happen. And if you're not there to help solve those issues, especially in the beginning, as you're building the process and saying, I can do this quicker or faster, if that's not in place, then then who's going to be there? So then it's, well, there's no one here. I'll just wait for him. So the whole thing slows. And then the final thing there is that from a incentive perspective, in terms of the end of the year, the bonus, I would not put in that. I like the fact that you have a year-end bonus, but it has to relate to performance. It's not related to the individual. The person who's overperforming should get a good bonus. The person who's underperforming should get a worse bonus. It shouldn't be one bonus for everyone, a 13th check.
One size
one size fit all. So these are the things. So just to summarize, it's the whole process flow and doing the time management. It's putting your performance management in. It's relating that to your your year-end bonus. It's about you being present at the office there as much as possible in terms of a leadership process, and then the documenting of that process and the training around that. Those are where there's a lot more I've written down, but we don't have enough time. But I don't think this is a hard problem to solve. I think it requires the right incentive from you. And let me put that incentive in your mind. If you don't do this, the likelihood of your growth or survival is low. Okay, the business, and they will go get jobs, and you'll owe all the money. And that's it for today. I hope I gave you some things to think about, Mahlatsi.
Most definitely.
Okay, and I hope that gave you things to think about. And as always, if you think it, write it down and make it a reality.
The Big Small Business Show, proudly sponsored by MTN Business.